not understanding the life of a man. Essentially, that's what
True.
essentially what the confusion is. Not understanding that what a life of a man entails, and that's extreme hardship. And not only that, not coming to term that the solutions that we need in order to combat life at every turn comes from the hardship that we face. Although it's extreme, it's the only teacher that we learn from as a
Mm.
man. So when young men grew up outside of the environment that we grew up in, where everything was extreme,
Yeah.
especially as a man in the islands, if you didn't get up in Arugi Uta, follow your dad, either you got your ass whooped or you're not eating,
Yeah.
right? Or both. And that's just that's basic survival. There's
Yeah.
no two ways about it. If you didn't get up and go either find a job or you didn't go to the bush plantation, you're not going to survive very long,
Yeah.
um, right? So when we sort of translate that to a lot of young men here, is that no one has seemed to shown these young men the not only the trials and tribulations of what a man is, but not only that, celebrate what a man is. Yes, it's hard, but it's rewarding in the sense that we come up with majority of the solutions that we need. Um, and the second part of that is the emotional side of it. Is that we don't teach these young men the tools that they need, at least the basic foundation for tools that they need. So um, when we go back and work with the psychologists and get all the data from what they've been conducting in terms of their therapy sessions and whatnot, oftentimes what we see in those recording is that they're emotional to the point where all they did was talk about it, whether they've written about it or they spoke it out in silent or whatever it is, hinting at whatever it is that they're going through, and nothing else. No one's taught them that in order for you to regulate your emotions, you have to do something physical. Go build something. Go do something for others. Gratitude and all these different things that are just basic tools that we do um, in order for us to move forward. So one of the biggest issues that we're currently combating at the moment is the whole narrative of being vulnerable. When we, especially when I speak to a lot of young men, my approach is very different. It's like you're going through shit. I can understand that, and you're probably feeling like the absolute most useless human being on the planet. But here's a newsflash: it's what every man goes through every day. And that's
Mm.
what pushes us to move forward, is that we feel absolutely useless. Our family could probably do better without us, but also living in reality in the sense of, if I'm not going to do it, who the fuck is going to? And that's the responsibility. Oftentimes that's the fawn that we bear, and we take up responsibility, but it's extremely rewarding. When we look at, for example, my own life, when I hear from my wife, and I usually get this indirectly from my kids, but when I hear from my wife, my son's just randomly bringing up a conversation. I want to be like dad, or he just sings out, "I'm a man, I protect and provide." Or when something happens to a sister with other kids in the neighbor, and he steps in. Those are the rewards that we look for when we carry out our responsibility. It's a byproduct of what we do as men. So not only do we not celebrate what it is to be a man, we also don't give the appropriate tools. And the appropriate tools is accept that you're going through shit. And that's probably 90% of your life. It's going to be like that, day in, day out. But the other 10% is absolutely worth it, in the sense that you're building something far more important than just who you are as a human being. Seeing your children grow up to be good, decent human beings and achieving accolades of their own, that's a reward that no amount of achievement that you'll make yourself will ever compare to. And not only that, looking at your parents and how far they've come, you're in a better state. You're in a better state that you are able to analyze their life and yours. That's a far more privileged standpoint. So that's been one of my biggest battle, is this whole vulnerability thing, and that's why I get extremely frustrated with that narrative when it's brought up, because it doesn't work. And I know it doesn't work because I talk to the men who've been constantly shoved down their throat, be vulnerable, being vulnerable, and I ask them the question, how the fuck has vulnerability helped you? It hasn't. I haven't been able to move on with the trauma of my dad leaving me as a child, or being molested when I was going through foster care, or my girlfriend cheating on me with someone else. How has vulnerability helped you? It hasn't. It's just made me constantly talk about the thing that's hurting me, and it's keeping me there. So what are you gonna do? Stop fucking talking about it first. Acknowledge that it happened, and it's a normal part of life, but take away the lessons. What were the quality of this woman? Did she show you that she was loyal? How did you know she was loyal? What were those situations? Do you want to raise up your children around other people that could potentially molest them? Those are the lessons that we have to take and move forward with our life. And I think you brought up a point earlier on about the whole healing stuff. I tell the majority of the young men that I talk to, if not all of them, you don't need to fucking heal. You just need to recognize what triggers you and either expose yourself to that environment till you learn through exposure to react less and less, or you avoid it. Avoiding it is going to be hard because you never know when that situation might arise, where that environment might come up. So my best advice is to expose yourself into it until it hurts less and less over time. But you have to move on. You have to decide. And that's, so when I've been teaching young men throughout construction, it's acknowledge the pain, but also at the same time get used to it, because this is the vast majority of our life. Every challenge that comes to us will challenge us in ways where you'll react to it emotionally at first. It's just human nature. But as a man, you have the ability to hold that emotion at bay and think about logically and process it the best way you can. If you need to cry, get in your car, drive somewhere, cry. Or get in the shower, have a nice cold shower, warm shower, and cry your ass out. But when you get out of that, know for a fact that your problem hasn't gone away. It's still there. It's still looking at you dead in the eye. So what are you going to do? You have to come up with a solution. And those solutions is for you to move forward, not for you to end your life. So that's been one of the main things that's been really helpful, in the sense that just acknowledging that our life is hard, but it's also rewarding in the sense that we see the improvement in others. You know, when you're a leader and you're masculine and you protect and you provide, that's not only reserved for family. That translates to the men you're around, the community you're around. You seek to provide and protect for them. And the reward you get is seeing other people improve their lives. I think that's one of the biggest thing that's been rewarding for me, is just seeing the improvement in others. So I try and translate that to the men that I help. Like, the reason why it's easier for me to deal with my own shit is because I see you improving. You coming in here day after day and sharing all these great experiences that you're going through. Oh, I finally managed to not spend more than an hour sleeping in bed this morning. I'm now at work on time. Or I said no to going out drinking in the weekend and just spend some time, analyzing my own life. That to me is rewarding, and that's what helps me get through. So when you start doing that, you improve the lives of the people around you, especially if you have family. So it's a multifaceted question, that one, and it's full of many complex things. But one of the most simple ways of dealing with it that I've managed to find a lot of success is making men acknowledge that our life's just hard. It's cut and dry. It's what it is. But you have to improve. You have to move on. And fuck what everyone says about vulnerability, what they say about being healed. You're not going to heal from shit that hurts you.
Yeah.
But like any koe lavea ko tapu hoka koe, mai o fufulu, agi plasta, tūno ai. Ko ala ko te hoka o vainga koe mo ia, foi lavea koe ia, ala foi lavea pala te koveangi ai. Fufulu, agi foi pen 80, ulu ima ki mea kau mei tua o tolo iagi, tuku no ai. And that's how we deal with problems, is that let it heal on its own. Recognize what triggers you. Either avoid it or expose yourself to it so it hurts less. But move the fuck on. It's essentially it. And you'll be surprised at the men who... Okay, I have to pretext this with... You have to be a leader first in order for these to stick, for these advice. You can't be just on the same boat, essentially.
Yeah.
So if you want to help men around you, you have to learn from your own issues, whatever they may be, and learn to become a leader. Because I think a big part of the success that I've been finding with men over the last 7 years is that they respect me because of my ability to lead. Not only that, my ability to say, I'm not going to sit here and talk shit with you. It's what women do. They gossip. It's in their nature. But me and you as a man, we got to figure this out. So if we're not going to figure it out today, go out there and smash your hammer into the concrete or whatnot. Come back tomorrow. We'll figure it, whatever it is that we had to figure out. And we're going to keep at it until you come up with a solution.